Welcome to Bubble Club Week 13. I'm glad you could join us. This week we'll learn about some regular working people in the Bible named Priscilla and Aquila. Then for our craft, we'll make mix and match articulating snakes. Stick around. Let's get into the story. Paul traveled to many places to tell people the good news about Jesus. When he traveled to a place called Corinth, he met a woman named Priscilla and her husband Aquila. I'm Priscilla. And I'm Aquila. Priscilla and Aquila had recently left Rome and now lived in Corinth, where they worked as tent makers. We're sewing tents. Paul was a tent maker too, so he stayed with them and worked alongside them making tents. And every Sabbath, Paul went to the synagogue and taught people the good news about Jesus. Sometime later, Paul set sail for Syria to share the gospel there. Priscilla and Aquila went with him, and on the way, the ship stopped in Ephesus, and Priscilla and Aquila stayed there, but Paul traveled on. Now, a Christian named Apollos also came to Ephesus at this time, and he knew the scriptures pretty well, so he taught people about Jesus. Apollos was a good speaker, but he didn't really know everything that happened to Jesus. All Apollos knew was about the time that Jesus was baptized by John the Baptist. Priscilla and Aquila heard that Apollos was teaching things that weren't quite right, so they took Apollos aside and explained everything to him, the entirety of what happened to Jesus after he was baptized. So then, when Apollos wanted to go to a place called Acacia, I think I'm saying that right, the believers were able to write a letter to the disciples there to welcome Apollos to them. And he was a great help to those who believed, because he was able to debate people in public and use the scriptures to show that Jesus Christ is the Messiah. Sometimes, some Christians think that it's the job of the pastor or the teacher to do God's work. But here's a great example of regular working people doing God's work. Priscilla and Aquila, they were tent makers. Tents were used a lot more by people back in those days than they are now. Now we usually just use tents when we want to go camping or something like that. But back then, people would have used tents for their shops at the market or even as part of their homes. So what Priscilla and Aquila would do is while they were sewing tents, they would talk. They'd talk to other people about Jesus and about the gospel, and they'd have great debates. When Priscilla and Aquila met Apollos, he is a pretty good speaker, and he's pretty good at debating and convincing people what's true. The only problem is that he didn't actually know everything about Jesus, who he was speaking about. So even though Priscilla and Aquila weren't specifically public speakers and debaters like Apollos was, they knew the whole story of Jesus and what he did, and they knew how to talk to people about him. So they went to Apollos and they told him the whole story of Jesus and all that he did. Apollos went on to convince many people that Jesus was and is the Messiah, all because Priscilla and Aquila helped him to understand. We may not all grow up to be pastors or teachers, but if we follow Jesus, we can all be used by God to do great things, just like Priscilla and Aquila. The craft we'll be making this week is mix and match articulating snakes. Here's what you'll need: some popsicle sticks, googly eyes, some snaps, markers, a piece of red paper, some scissors, and a hot glue gun. If you don't have a hot glue gun at home, get your parents to send me an email and I can get one sent to your house. The first thing you'll need to do is take one popsicle stick and cut it into 3 equal sections. You may need a parent to help you cut it. Once you have your 3 sections, set them off to the side. This will be the snake's head. Take your other popsicle sticks that you'll use for the body of your snake and decide how you want to color them. I'm going to use markers to color mine. You can either use markers or paint, but markers is less cleanup. I'm done coloring my snake section. As you can see, they're all very different. I've also colored the popsicle stick that I cut into 3 sections. I just colored it blue with a bit of an orange outline. The next thing you need to do is plug in your glue gun so that it can heat up. While the glue gun is heating up, grab your red piece of paper and your scissors and cut out a snake tongue. It doesn't have to be very big. I'm going to do about this size. A snake has a forked tongue, so this is what mine looks like. Once your glue gun is heated up, make sure you have everything you need to glue. That's your 4 popsicle sticks, your 1 popsicle stick that's cut into 3 sections, 2 googly eyes, and 4 sets of snaps. First, take your popsicle stick that has been cut into 3 sections and arrange it so that the 2 ends with the round part are on the table next to each other, and take the square part and put it across the top. That's how you're going to glue it. Then with the parent's help, put 2 little dabs of glue on those 2 popsicle sticks. They're together, and then set the square one on them. This will hold all 3 of them together. Then you can add your googly eyes to it, also using glue. Then, on the back side is where you stick your tongue. Not your tongue, but your snake's tongue. Put a bit of glue in between both of the long popsicle sticks and stick your tongue on the back so that it sticks out the other end. Do this carefully so you don't burn yourself on the glue. From the front, here's your snake's head. Set that off to the side. Next, choose the order that you want your snake's body to go in. I want to start with this one and then go to these 2 and end up with that one. So you're going to alternate. The first stick goes flat on the table. The second one will go on top of that one. The third one will go underneath that one. And the fourth one will go on top of that one. And this is how they're going to stick together. But we want our snake to move, so we're going to use these snaps in between. Take 1 snap pair and undo it, and then very carefully put some glue on the end of one of your popsicle sticks. Stick one end of the snap on that. Then take the next popsicle stick that you want in your design and put the other end of the snap on that. Be sure to have the end that will stick into the other part of the snap on the outside, and that's not the part you're gluing. This time, we're going to put the glue on the bottom of the popsicle stick. And be careful because it's really hot. Once they're both dry, you can snap them together. And do the same thing for each of your other snake sections. Once the glue's all dry, snap them together. Next, we gotta add our head to the body. So you have 1 snap left. Do the same thing, but put the other end on the back of your snake's head. Right here. For this side of the snap, I like to put a little extra around the outside to make sure it holds. And then snap it on. And there you have it, your articulating mix and match snake. It's a snake, it's a snake. If you want, and you have more snaps and more popsicle sticks, feel free to make the snake as long as you want. Thanks for joining us today, everyone. I hope your mix and match snakes don't scare you. See you all on Wednesday.